Okay, let's do Laurel Castle from A Link Between Worlds. Ah, what?
No, go ahead.
I really like this castle, but again, I'd find it kind of mid, just that it has cool puzzles and it has it has a really good way of amping you up for the final fight. I always really, really appreciate when the music gets louder the closer you get to the final boss.
Yes. Yes.
So Laurel Castle does that extremely well because the Laurel Castle theme is amazing. And but again, they make you fight the same bosses. I like the cinematic of it. It's not as grand as something like Wind Waker though. So I'm going to say that I'd say that I'd rank it below Wind Waker, but unfortunately since you have Wind Waker so low, that makes me feel ugh, but that's where I would put it in my own list.
Well, I would put it above the Wind Waker, which, by the way, would put it at number 3 on our list here. So, just to really quickly run down what we got so far, because we're at the halfway point. We've got Onyx's Castle in number 6. We've got the Black Tower in number 5. We've got Hyrule Castle from Cadence of Hyrule in number 4. We've got Ganon's Tower from the Wind Waker in number 3. We've got Great Palace from Adventure of Link in number 2. And Hyrule Castle from Twilight Princess at number 1. And it's been number 1 since we started this, so good for that. Yeah, I would put it above Hyrule Castle from Wind Waker, personally. And I would do that because, well, when you first said Lorule Castle, the very first thing that comes to my mind is like, oh, you gotta fight all the same bosses again. I hate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you do, but I do think that in this, I mean, don't get me wrong, this one is lame, fighting the same bosses here as well. But I think that there is, like, you can get through it quicker in
Yeah.
A Link Between Worlds, and like the 2D bosses aren't as like intricate as like fighting Mulgara again, for example, or the
Right.
big fat ghost.
Mhm.
What the heck is his name?
Valhalla.
Jalhalla. Yeah. Ugh. So I think that you could beat someone like a Moldorm like a lot faster than those guys, right? So it's not
Right.
as offensive, and I think that if you take away the have to fight the same bosses again in both castles, I think that Lorule Castle is clearly like a better final castle. Um,
Yeah, like going through it and the puzzles makes it a
yes.
better dungeon, quote unquote, than the Wind Waker. So I can be convinced to have it above Wind Waker, I think.
Yeah, because you mentioned the dynamic music that changes, and it gets a little bit more intense as you progress up. I think we would have got skewered alive if we didn't bring up that theme. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that
Well,
that one is
yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
I think that like the aesthetic of it, like the fire and all the chainmail and the way that it uses verticality in some of its puzzles is quite nice too. And I believe that you can get a tunic there as well. It's hidden away. I think it's a
Something like
tunic.
that.
It could be. I'm pretty sure it's a tunic, but it might be like the great ore or whatever it is. But there's definitely something that you can get in that castle that's worth exploring and worth fighting. So yeah, I do think it loses points a little bit for reusing the same boss. The same boss as earlier in the game. But I do think that the castle itself, like aesthetically, is very cool. Like you've got the
Yep.
contrast of like the red fire and kind of like the blue purple like castle itself. So I think it looks cool, especially for a 3DS game, which I don't
Yeah.
know for me personally. I always know them for looking amazing. Um, so I think that that's a plus. And I just think that like between the music, the secrets, the the way that you can use the different levels, I think that that makes it a little bit more of a standout to me.
Okay.
So yeah,
I
I,
can
I would
agree with you.
say I would say number 3.
I can agree with you there. I think I just gravitate more towards the cinematicness of the Wind Waker one, so like I really like it, but this as far as going through it and having a dungeon-esque like final area is definitely superior. So, I can
All
agree
right.
with that.